The Alliance for Innovation and Transformation is a collaborative community of visionary college presidents and CEOs who are leading the radical renewal of higher education. AFIT sparks innovation through insights from world-class thought leaders, immersive team-based learning, and a powerful CEO network. Join the movement shaping the future of higher education. Visit afithighered.com to learn more. That's afithighered.com.
Hey everybody, this is Elvin Freitas, co-founder of the EdUp Experience, and today we are extremely excited to announce our paid subscription service. By subscribing today, you will get exclusive early access to ad-free episodes, extended episodes, bonus episodes, original content. That's right, original content, and invites to special events, all while helping to sustain EdUp. To become a subscriber, go to edupexperience.com. That's EDUP experience.com and subscribe to our free email newsletter to learn how you can get access. Again, go to edupexperience.com. That's EDUP experience.com.
Welcome back, everybody. It's your time to Ed Up on the EdUp Experience podcast, where we make education your business. This is Dr. Joe Salustio back with you on another episode as I come to terms now with my home recording studio in the unfinished part of my basement. So I've got a nice, beautiful house, and my wife and I spoke now that I'm working from home. And I said, well, where am I going to work? And she said, there's only one place. And I said, where? In our beautiful furnished office on the first floor? She said, no, in the unfinished basement, because you're too loud, your voice is too loud, and you interview too many people on your podcast, so you got to go down to this part. And so I'm down here with the spiders hanging out. That's real, ladies and gentlemen. I do have a pretty nice podcast studio that I've made for myself because I just keep getting amazing guests. Shout out to Elvin Freitas, co-founder of the EdUp Experience podcast, who does all our scheduling. And I would call it scheduling gymnastics to try to get all of these people on with me to talk about the great work they're doing in higher education. And look, I'll be honest with you guys. You listen to this podcast. If you do, you know our goal is to celebrate the work that our colleagues in higher education do on a daily basis. There's enough detractors out there. We will not be one. I have 3 degrees. I believe in the power of higher education. I know Elvin does too. There's not enough talk about the good things that we're doing, the noble work that we're doing. All the articles that we're reading these days are all about the tumultuous situation higher ed finds itself these days. So, but you know what? We've got great leadership, and we want to highlight those great leaders, and I've got one with me today. Ladies and gentlemen, he is Dr. James Limbaugh. He is the president of West Los Angeles College. Jim, welcome to the podcast. How are you?
Well, good morning, Joe. Thank you for having me. Much appreciated.
So, first of all, it's an honor to have you here, and I want you to level set for our audience. For those that haven't heard of your college, West Los Angeles College, where are you, other than the obvious? Where are you? What do you do? Who do you serve? How do you serve them? Take it from there.
Okay, well, that's a wonderful entree because when you're a college president, the first thing you have to be able to do is brag about your institution.
That's why we're here.
So let me get started on that. Well, clearly, West Los Angeles College is in LA. We're part of a 9-college district. We serve about 200,000 students. It's actually the largest community college district in the country. West serves about 10,000 students. Now, for those of you who can visualize LA, we're in the stereotypical part of LA: Malibu, Venice Beach, Santa Monica, the Santa Monica Pier. I can see the ocean from my office, for example. So we're over here on the west side, and where everybody is all in a tizzy now about preparing for the Olympics. So I'm hoping our college will be a part of that too.
Amazing.
That's not.
Yeah, you warned me about that.
Yeah, I did warn you. It's an amazing place to be, particularly if you think about community college in the context of its relevancy now. Not that it wasn't relevant before, but there was probably a stigma associated with community colleges previously. I think that we've been working through that as a society. This is a viable option to access, to affordability, and it does not hurt to have an ocean in the view to bring people to you. So can you talk a little bit about the destination part of your community college?
Let me go back to what you were talking about perceptions. You were right. I spent the first several years of my career in four-year institutions. And without going into too much detail, I made a decision about looking at something that I found that was a little bit more aligned with how I'd like to spend my career. And I read the California 1960 Master Plan for Higher Education, and I was fascinated by what the premise was, by what the goals were. And so I took an interim presidency at Oxnard College for a year, and then I was recruited to come here. And I'll be honest, Joe, it's probably the best decision I've ever made professionally, because
why do you say
four-year
that?
colleges are great. I have 3 degrees just like you do, all from four-year institutions. And I grew there. I learned how to be an administrator there. So anything I say is not to diminish that, but there's a certain purity about community colleges. We say we'll take 100% of your graduating class. We say to folks, if you're willing to come here and try, we will do everything we can to help you do one of two things, because community colleges exist for only two reasons. One, to successfully get a student to transfer, and two, to get a student into a living wage job. And the challenge for West, like many community colleges, is our student body. For example, I'm about 21% African American, I'm 48% Latino, 19% white. 50% of my students are still first generation. 51% of them have family incomes below the federal poverty level. 2 in 5 are housing insecure or homeless, and 3 in 5 are food insecure on a regular basis. So we have to take an account into all of that in terms of the services that we provide. So on top of some really interesting academic programs, which I'd like to get to as a discussion allows, we provide a wardrobe for students who don't have clothing, diapers for the parents. We provide food, support for formerly incarcerated veterans, LGBTQ students, Puente for Latino students, Umoja for African American students. It's sort of the concept of wraparound services, where we understand that a student can't study if they are hungry, if they're worried about where their next bed is coming from, if you will. So that has been the interesting part about trying to develop an environment that recognizes their personal challenges and provides them the support to be successful academically. So I'm very proud of my institution. It was named one of the top 150 schools in the country by the Aspen Institute for Community College Excellence, and we're very proud of that.
Fantastic.
So my institution is now what's really called, Joe, a dual purpose institution, because I have, in addition to my associate's degrees, I have 2 bachelor's degrees. I'm one of only 4 community colleges in the state of California, I believe, to have more than one. We have a bachelor's degree in dental hygiene, and beginning this fall, a bachelor's degree in avionics, the technology of airplanes. And we're very proud of that one. It's the only one in the country, and I've already got a waiting list of 300 students. And
Wow.
I'm 15 minutes from LAX. So my location really lends itself to it. And before we end this session, I really want to talk about our climate change initiative, because that's something that is very dear to my heart, that the college has taken on wholeheartedly and with great commitment, and a center that I believe really fills a particular niche in the world of climate education. So that's what my institution is. We're located, ironically, next to one of the largest urban oil fields in the country. So it's sort of weird to have a climate change studies program right next to the oil field, but we look at that as another educational opportunity.
When's the last time you left your office to go for a walk on the beach? Is that how close it is?
Okay, well, I see everything I just said you completely ignored because you were thinking about the beach. I get how this works. Actually, Saturday
Just
morning.
where my mind's at. No, I do want to go back to what you said because I think it's we can't gloss over it because of we know the state of California in particular has had rising housing costs for many years, which is putting really significant pressure on people's wallets and pocketbooks. We know that the cost of goods and services, not just in the state of California, but countrywide, has gone up. And I don't think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that too many community college presidents or presidents in general go into a presidency thinking, man, I really wanted to get into this presidency gig to open a food pantry or to, have clothing available to students. It's probably not something you think about right away, right? You want to become an educator, you want to give people the skills to get jobs and so on. But the job of a president is become much larger because of economic times, because of retention. And what retention means? Do you think retention is keeping someone in school and keeping them focused on their education? Well, that's part of it. And the other part of it is if you can't eat and you can't live, then you're not going to go to school. And so there's these layers, deep layers of retention that have to be unearthed just to have the conversation about not coding school. Can you just talk about some of the surprises of things that you maybe offer, maybe things you thought you'd never have to offer because of the state of the economy, because of the increased housing prices and so on?
When I got to California, I was not prepared for the intensity of living here. When you live in LA, it can be scary and exciting and beautiful and ugly and overwhelming and engaging, all within the same 5 minutes. It's just a wonderfully vibrant, multicultural city that offers just about anything. But with that, there are also the social challenges. Did I expect to do some of the things I'm having to do that go into the realm of social services? No, I didn't. Am I glad to do it? And am I glad that we have the community support, that we have the faculty and staff that are committed so we can do it? Yes, for example, we started the food pantry. It was actually my wife's idea, and we went to the local food pantry and loaded up our car, and Trisha and I on a rainy Sunday afternoon moved all the canned goods and everything into a makeshift area as a food pantry, and it has slowly grew. Then Trisha added clothing, and she created basically a boutique because people were giving us all sorts of clothes. So we had areas, it was arranged literally as a boutique. And so she would have students come in and say, I'm going to a job interview, but I don't have enough clothes. So Trisha and her supporters would outfit the student. And she tells the story about a woman who came in, had virtually nothing to wear. Trisha outfitted her. The woman went to the job interview, but came back and hugged Trisha and said, I got the job because I felt better about myself. And every college out there has those heartwarming stories of engagement with students who are at their wits' end in terms of how do they make it in a world where you don't have all the options. Remember, there's 65,000 homeless people in LA. And there's many homeless people through my district, throughout the 19 community colleges in LA County. And you can talk to any of my 18 cohorts, and you would hear the same stories of engagement, of student success. But most importantly, you'd hear about how each of the colleges in their own way have committed to meeting those particular needs. So it took me by surprise, but best way I can explain it is people who choose to work at a community college are really focused on teaching and student engagement. There's no research requirement to get tenure, for example. It's all about teaching and service. And I would put my faculty and my staff up against anybody's. in terms of their professional preparation, their commitment, their compassion. And that's the thing that brings me to work every day, because every day I see another success story that's been the result of how we've been able in our own way to help a student be successful. So I probably got way off the rails in terms of your original question, but I get going thinking about the opportunities that we provide. And, we take it very seriously, because these students have come to us and said, you said you could help me. Please help me. Let me give you an example. Our dental hygiene program is the largest in the state and is one of the most successful. We graduated 69 students this past spring.
Congratulations.
Thank you. A student can go into that program in total and abject poverty. I mean, poverty that just rips your heart apart, okay? If they have the ability, if they have the dedication, in 4 years, at a cost of only about $11,400 to get a 4-year degree, they can go from abject poverty to entering the workplace at about 89 to 90 grand. Now, is that not an example of helping students be successful? They have to work at it. And the about the 11,000 that I told you about doesn't include the type of, they have to buy their own utensils and all that.
Yep.
But then through our foundation, we raise money to help them pay for their dental exams, because many students will get that far. They can't afford it. It's like in our aviation program. We have multiple companies from LAX wanting to hire students, but we have to help them because the FAA exams are somewhat pricey. And sometimes students get all the way to the end and they can't pay for their tests. So those are the kind of things that the college does. And we are always considering, are we doing it the best we can? Are we providing the services? Are we listening? So I find it, to be honest, this is the best gig I've ever had.
Tell them like it is.
To be able to work in an environment like this and work with the kind of people I do, not only here, but across this district. We were talking about housing. I want to give props to the Los Angeles Community College Board of Regents, because they passed a $5.3 billion bond with the support of the residents of Los Angeles County. And 500 million of that is to put up housing. And so the board has taken a really significant lead in how do we provide housing to help students. The big challenge is, who do we support first? Is it students? Is it foster youth? Is it homeless? Is it veterans? You got to remember too that the cost of living here, it's tough for some of my folks who are entry-level jobs, for example, to live in LA. So the stories you hear about the cost of living pricing people out and they're leaving is true. I'm beginning to see a little bit of that on my campus.
What about for people you try to bring in as talent for your faculty, for your staff? Do you see the same issues in recruiting and people just going, wow, California, it's, I'm coming from Montana, making something up since we were just talking about Montana. I don't know about coming to California. Do you have enough talent because of the population in the state? The Alliance for Innovation and Transformation is a collaborative community of visionary college presidents and CEOs who are leading the radical renewal of higher education. AFIT sparks innovation through insights from world-class thought leaders, immersive team-based learning, and a powerful CEO network. Join the movement shaping the future of higher education. Visit afithighered.com to learn more. That's afithighered.com.
Hey everybody, this is Elvin Freitas, co-founder of the EdUp Experience. Are you enjoying the conversation so far? Good, I hope so. Did you know that you can actually hear this conversation early before anybody else and ad-free, so you don't have to hear my voice during these ads? And did you also know that you could get extended episodes, bonus episodes, original content? That's right, original content. and invites to special events, all while helping to sustain EdUp? Well, if you didn't know, now you know. So go to edupexperience.com, that's EDUP experience.com, and become a subscriber today. First, you got to sign up to our free email newsletter, and then you'll find out how to become a subscriber. Again, go to edupexperience.com.
The number of people that come in from out of state is minuscule in comparison to the way we're able to recruit and hire from Los Angeles County and from California. For example, I just hired a brand new student services vice president who worked in Northern California, but he had family here. And so we are fortunate in that LA with 12 million people has bountiful opportunities for folks. And many times you'll see individuals advancing their career by moving from college to college in LA and being willing to drive.
Yeah.
Now, I made the decision, I'm 12 minutes from campus. But see, I'm not from LA, I'm from a little town in Texas. And I decided that getting on what they call the 405 every day would not be good for my mental health. So I made the decision to live closely, but some of my employees live 2 hours away because that's what they can afford.
Yeah, it's what they can afford, and also they're used. That's part of. I lived in Southern Cal for about 4 years. It's just like if you're going to go anywhere, you got to be willing to drive a little bit. And if you want to live where you want to live, and you want to get somewhere, you got to go at certain hours of the day, and it's just the way that it is.
The thing that I'd like to mention here for your listeners is that community colleges, or at least my community college, is going through a transition. The pandemic showed us that we can't be what we were before.
Yeah.
Can't be everything to everybody. And here at West, for example, we've decided that we're going to identify particular programs that we're really good at and specialize in them, if you will. For example, I don't have music and theater. I closed them because A, the facilities weren't great, B, the enrollment was down, but why should I have a music program when down the road at Los Angeles City College, they have a nationally known music program funded by an endowment from Herb Alpert.
Yeah.
So great, City College, you do that. But I'm going to do film and TV production crafts. Right behind me is one of the only fully functioning professional sound stages on any American community or American college campus. And that's where students learn below the line crafts, gaffer and rigging and all that kind of stuff. They learn it right here behind me, and then they go straight into the entertainment industry. And I can see Sony Studios from the window. So we're very proud of that, the aforementioned dental hygiene program, but the one that is really going to set West aside with great intentionality is our climate change initiative. And I'm glad to continue with that. If you want to ask another question.
Go. This is your microphone. Take it away.
Okay, thank you. All right. I don't know how many folks saw An Inconvenient Truth in 2001, the Al Gore movie, and that really impacted me. I was in a little town in Maryland, in Appalachian, Maryland. The college is built by coal miners. And that town knew about coal and what coal did. And I really began to think about educating students about it. So at that institution, I did create a sustainability initiative, but I knew there was more to it, Joe, than just making sure we recycle.
Yeah, it was only budding back then, climate change, right?
Yeah, it was the late 90s. It was just beginning. And then An Inconvenient Truth came out in, I think, 2000. So I'd had it in the back of my mind for a long time. And then when I got to West, there was an alignment of location, of board support, of legislative support, and of timing. I'd had an idea in the back of my head for a while about creating a climate change education center that focused not exclusively on the sciences or on workforce development, but on the social justice aspect.
I like that.
Given the type of students that I have, it was very important to me that we train students to be advocates, activists, scholars, teachers, business leaders who understood the issue of climate change through multiple lenses.
Yeah.
So it was interesting. On a Friday afternoon, I got a call from the district's legislative officer and said, there's an opportunity in the 2021-2022 California legislative session. There might be some extra money. Does anybody have any ideas? And I need to know by Monday. So I sat here in the office on a rainy Sunday afternoon and just started writing out the California Center for Climate Change Education. I wrote it out and I submitted it. And it was picked up.
What was it, like a business plan or a framework?
It was basically a framework. I put in a budget. It was a framework based around three particular pillars. It was based around climate change education, workforce development, and community outreach.
Fantastic.
And so I will be forever indebted to Assembly Member Isaac Bryan because he saw it. He had a particular interest in climate change. He carried it through the legislature under Assembly Bill 1913. And what was very gratifying was about 80% of what was in the bill was what I wrote that Sunday afternoon. And it passed. It passed with a $5 million appropriation.
Surprise!
And then through the efforts of Senator Padilla, we received another $1.32 million for workforce development. So the center opened officially on April of 2023. And since then, it has just gone great guns. I mean, I was fortunate. I hired a really good director who is a PhD in climate science and activist herself, and she's been able to engage with that. But for example, I've got about 30 faculty who are working on a project called Climate Change Across the Curriculum, in which the disciplines will introduce climate change as a component of instruction in that discipline to emphasize that climate change cuts across every field of study.
As like a core piece, a core curriculum piece across,
sort of like
all the
that.
disciplines.
And that's the niche that we're working on here because of the alignment of support and location and everything else. So, for example, in psychology, they'll have a section on climate anxiety. And in sociology, there may be a section on studying the fact that women are more impacted by climate change internationally than men for for many social and cultural reasons. And so I have 30 faculty doing that. I have 30 students out on paid internships with green and blue industries throughout Los Angeles College. I have multiple partnerships with the various green and blue agencies across the country. And for your listeners, if you've not heard the phrase, the blue economy has to do with the ocean. And because of our location, we're able to engage with that as well. We've got a big 19 college consortium that we're part of that's working on this. So along with doing events on campus the first event we did attracted almost 2,000 people, what we're doing is engaging our students to help them understand that the science is important, but the other pieces of climate change are just as important. I'm not a technical college. I could not set up a welding program. I couldn't set up anything like that. But through our existing programs and layering climate change on top of it, we're able to use the expertise of our faculty. And the faculty here, I am humbled by how they have engaged with this, how they are working to get this concept into their courses, the faculty that have stepped up to take leadership roles, the staff. I have staff who work overtime and on weekends to make this happen. Excellent. And I know how fortunate I am because I sort of came in and said, we need to do this. And folks agreed and said, yeah. So we're slowly turning the institution into a more focused institution around that concept. Are we going to do transfer? Yes, because I've got great programs in English and history and everything else. So yeah, we'll focus on transfer, but the community college that's successful in the future is the one that understands its product, understands its audience, understands its location, and maximizes that. Could I have opened a climate center like this at a very rural institution? Possibly not.
Yeah.
And I came from
you could have, but you wouldn't probably have the numbers to sustain it or be able to hire the faculty to sustain it. I mean, there's a population factor that goes into something like this.
Exactly.
And, you bring the concept that you're bringing up too. If you're talking about climate change, you're talking about internships, jobs, so on, and you described your ecosystem, movie studio over here, back, the rigging and stuff for the entertainment industry over there. The public-private partnership, the Triple P deal is critical for a community college. Can you talk about how often or how intently you maintain these relationships or seek out these relationships in your ecosystem to ensure internship jobs and so on, and what kind of attention it takes?
To be honest, Joe, that's been a foundational component of the success of the programs. Aviation, for example, has an advisory council, which has representatives from some of the major airlines and major aircraft industries right down the road. And they meet on a regular basis and help our faculty understand current trends. And then complementary to that, our students often have direct access into positions there. Like I can't train enough aircraft mechanics.
Right.
And part of that is because we make sure that our curriculum is right in line with what they're doing. The film and TV program also has an advisory board, as does dental hygiene. And those advisory boards then develop partnerships. So we have partnerships with a couple of the big health organizations here and with dental clinics. Not to drop names, but we've got partnerships with American Airlines and United and Bell Helicopter, that kind of stuff to support that. And the partnerships that we've developed with the Climate Center, I mean, it's things like Unite LA, the Sustainable Environment Institute, Green Building Institute, there's the Statewide Youth Climate Commission, all sorts of things here that are unique to LA, which then provides us the opportunity to place students. What's interesting, Joe, is that I'm real proud of the fact that the center is right here on the forefront of it. And we're sort of building the center as people are building green and blue jobs because they're so new. So we're trying to train people for jobs that are still in the process of becoming. And that's really both challenging, but it's invigorating as all get out. And I give all the credit to Dr. Tavares, the director, and all the student interns because they know what they're doing. My job was to basically hire the right people, support them, and let them take it where it needs to go. And it is gratifying to see what it does to a campus when people are firmly committed to the importance of a particular concept. And I have gotten no pushback here at all about doing climate change. It's like, we understand. And climate change in an urban environment, they learn about heat deserts and that kind of stuff. We're putting a microforest on campus this fall. You know what a microforest is?
I don't actually have any idea what a microforest is, other than what I think it means.
Well, a microforest is something somewhat unique to cities. It is a way to, and I'm not a scientist. My PhD is in existentialist philosophy. So if I stumble over the science, please forgive.
Philosophize for us.
I will. Okay, I'll philosophize, and my apologies to the scientists out there. In an area where there's lots of concrete and there's not enough greenery, there's a whole thing about oxygen exchange, and you need the greenery. And so a microforest puts together, in our case, indigenous species, but you plant them closely together so that they'll grow quickly because they're all trying to reach up to the sun, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And we're taking an area of the campus that we're planting out that will help with that oxygen exchange, but will also be a laboratory for our students studying biology and climate change and that type of thing. Now, my campus is pretty wooded anyway, and it's up the side of a hill. And so it is not as concrete clad as some of the institutions like in downtown LA, but still, this is
That's
LA.
not the point. It's the principle, right? It's the being
principle.
Yep.
And I want our students to see that you can do that kind of thing in an urban environment to contribute to trying to offset some of the atmospheric concerns we have. So it's that kind of thing that we're doing to give our students living laboratories, if you will. And is it a work in progress? Absolutely. The fun part about this is we get some foundational things in, and there's always things to embellish it. There's always ways to make it more interesting and more engaging. There's always other opportunities for our students and our faculty. So
that's awesome. Really is. And, you know, I want to give you I want to bring you back for a quick mini episode for our subscribers, but I want to give you the last word on this episode to talk about really anything else you want to say about West Los Angeles College, anything else that's on your mind, anything you want our listeners to know about. Open mic.
I'm glad to be at a community college now because they're beginning to emerge as one of the best alternatives to traditional higher education. We are not grades 13 and 14, which I've heard. We are colleges that respond quickly to societal needs. For example, our climate change studies degree, we put up in less than a year.
Yep.
And for folks who have worked at 4 institutions, you don't even get the committees to meet enough in a year. So I want people to understand that a community college is a legitimate, worthwhile way to get yourself into college, to go to college in a more cost-efficient manner and still get the same level of quality. The greatest majority of my faculty are doctoral holders, and come out on the other end with not only less of a bill, but the experience of going to an institution that is so diverse, that brings together so many people, that provides so many opportunities for learning about yourself, because I've always thought that a community college is great to help a student learn that they're capable. Because remember, community college students often come in thinking subconsciously they can't do it. And to see them succeed, that's what I like about being here.
Building confidence, producing outcomes, that's what happens at today's community colleges, and one of the best of those is West Los Angeles College and its president, Dr. James Limbaugh. And it's been an honor to have you on, sir, and keep up the great work. We hope you had fun here talking about your stuff, too.
Really appreciate it.
All right, everybody, you've just ed up. The Alliance for Innovation and Transformation is a collaborative community of visionary college presidents and CEOs who are leading the radical renewal of higher education. AFIT sparks innovation through insights from world-class thought leaders, immersive team-based learning, and a powerful CEO network. Join the movement shaping the future of higher education. Visit afithighered.com to learn more. That's afithighered.com.
Hey everybody, this is Elvin Freitas, co-founder of the EdUp Experience. Did you enjoy that conversation? I hope you did. Did you know that you can actually hear this conversation early on and ad-free? And you can also hear extended episodes, bonus episodes, original content. That's right, original content, and invites to special events, all while helping to sustain EdUp. Did you know that? Well, if you didn't know, now you know. To become a subscriber, go to edupexperience.com. That's EDUP experience.com to subscribe to our free email newsletter to learn how you can get access. Again, that's edupexperience.com. That's EDUP experience.com. edupexperience.com.